Artistic Director of the Unbreakable Art Foundation.
Hello, hello, and good afternoon to everyone. I'm certainly just honored to be a part of this. It is so important that we continue to reach out to our young people in all these amazing ways that allow them to express themselves. So I just want to say I am the founding artistic director of Unk Repertory Theater originally, but recently I've decided to rebrand somewhat and carry other things under an umbrella called Unbreakable Art. And the Unbreakable Art Foundation is an performing arts hub that will offer, or that offers, you know, performing arts, acting, public speaking, oratory skill building, all of those things to young people, tweens, teens, and adults. And it's just something that's always been my passion. I direct several shows throughout the area. I've worked with AXO before, and so I'm just very excited to share with my, you know, with Unbreakable Art and how the performing arts has truly shaped my life as well. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Next, we'll introduce Patricia Hopkins.
Yes, my name is Pat Hopkins, and all of my students in Montgomery and Prince George's counties have always called me Hop, H-O-P. So if you've ever heard some of the kids say Hop, then I was their director. I'm a 36-year career person in Montgomery and Prince George's and even Northern Virginia. And 7 years since retirement, I've still been active up until the pandemic. So 43 years at it. Undergraduate school, Westchester University in Pennsylvania. Graduate school, the Catholic University of America. I was an oboe major, but I play all of the other instruments, no joke. Yes, but I was an oboe major, piano minor. And I started playing piano when I was about 4 or 5 years old. That's how I got started. I had an interest and I started investigating what it was going to take to be a director. I wanted to be a band director by the time I was about in the 4th grade, believe it or not. I just love to conduct. So I'm one of those people who realized their career dreams. I did what I wanted to do since a kid, and I've enjoyed every moment of it. So that's the bottom line. And here I am still having fun doing things with you guys right now, even during the pandemic, making it work. So hopefully I can help you out, answer some questions. I've been at it and done so many things, directing and so forth. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Hop. I'll start calling you that. I didn't realize that. That was your nickname. And next, I'd like to introduce Mark Dwyer, who's the vocals director for Talented Group for Children.
Hello, how are you?
Good afternoon, Mark.
So again, my name is Mark Joyeux, J-O-Y-E-U-X. It's French. A lot of folk cannot pronounce it, but that's okay. I started a talent and mentoring group back in 1996. And over that period of years, so we're going on 26 years, I've been able to train and mentor quite a lot of young talents from the Washington metropolitan area and beyond. Since the pandemic, the group has actually grown, which is very bizarre. So now I'm literally working with kids virtually across the country, because I was covering kids in the metropolitan area, but now I'm working with kids across the country, as well as Africa, and recently Germany. So I basically work with talent. I help to coach the talent. So I identified children that already have that foundation, and I just basically fine-tune their talents, and through the group they have a platform so that they can do competitions, and they just have a platform to use their talent. And also it's a good program because it helps kids prepare for performing arts schools, colleges, scholarships. We teach leadership skills, things like that. And we have a mentoring aspect as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mark. Next, I'd like to introduce Vanessa Levers Hall.
Hello, everyone. As stated, my name is Vanessa Levers Hall. I am the Membership Director at the International Association of Blacks in Dance. As the title suggests, particularly in the dance industry, I started in a dance studio dancing at 2 years old, and did that all the way through college. And upon graduating college, where I studied in business, I was able to merge my two passions of business and dance together, working at a dance studio as the studio manager, and then later the youth company performing arts coordinator, long title. And then when I moved to the DMV area about 5 years ago, I was able to continue in the field of dance as well as in event planning, and have in the last 2 years landed at the International Association of Blacks in Dance, going from the dance studio into being a service org for the dance industry, specifically concentrating on the Black dance community. So it's definitely been quite the experience, especially during these times, to really serve our membership, and being an advocate for them, ensuring that we provide benefits for them to move forward in the industry, regardless of where they're at. Our membership covers from student members as young as 10 years old, so middle school, all the way through our oldest member, I believe, is 90. And so we have studio and individual, we have studio and companies who have membership with us, as well as individuals, aspiring artists, professional dance artists, et cetera, et cetera. So I get to oversee our membership, make sure that they're satisfied with their benefits, make sure that they're getting the things that they need to excel in the dance world. And yeah, so that's just a little bit about what I get to do and kind of how I got there.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. And next, I'd like to welcome Kelsey Nelson.
Hey everyone, I'm Kelsey Nelson. Thanks so much for having me here today. Excited to be with you all. Happy Saturday. Glad we made it through the weekend. I am a proud born and bred DMV resident. I grew up in Germantown, Clarksburg area, graduated from Clarksburg High School, went on to the University of Maryland, where I got my degree in broadcast journalism and African American studies. So I'm still riding high on our wonderful football team win last night over Minnesota. And then I went on to grad school at Georgetown University and got my degree in sports industry management. And most of my career I've spent here. I'm currently working with our football team, the Washington football team, still getting used to saying that, where I work as a host for our digital and broadcast shows. I host the Life show, which is basically a lifestyle show talking about players' lives off the football field, and I host The Fit, where we talk about kind of players' fashion and clothing styles. So again, highlighting their lives off the football field and digging more into who they are. And then I host Washington Unfiltered on NBC Sports Washington on Saturdays. So it's been just a whirlwind to get there. I'm also a professor where I teach intro to radio and podcasting at Doral College, and I'm also at Georgetown as a capstone advisor. So as a freelancer, I have a lot of different hats in my feet and different things. And I still work with Fox Sports Radio, where I have my own show, Listen In with Kanan. So it's been a joy. I've always loved journalism and sports. Sports has always been a part of my life. So essentially, I had to create a career where I got to always be around the game and always storytell. That's what I've always been into, always passionate about. Did the classes in school and made sure that I worked to have a career where I was happy and one where I could continue to just tell stories and connect people to the game. So I've been blessed to just kind of continue this story and kind of continue on. So thanks so much for having me, and looking forward to learning from you and sharing my story.
Thank you so much, Kelsey. And last but not least, I'd like to introduce John Jason Saunier, artist.
Sorry about that. Not very technical. Hi, I'm John Saunier, and I am a professional sculptor. I've been fortunate enough to actually merge two of my passions. I came through art as a landscape architect, And it was through my work as a landscape architect that I became a sculptor. I mentored for many years with master sculptor Konstantin Cephalos, and went on to then teach at Northern Virginia Community College. And up until the closure of I would say the former Corcoran School of Art, I was there for about 14 years teaching art there. It was really great that I can actually work and share the work that I do with as many students as possible. My work with AXO over the last couple of years has been really rewarding. I see in the audience we have Mwanza Makuka, who actually won the gold in 2019 for her work, and an amazing artist. I also was able to mentor students again then. I am still a practicing sculptor. I have been able to show my work in Italy, New York, different places in the United States, and I'm just happy to be a part and be able to help as many students as possible.
Thank you so much. So you all have described some really exciting careers, and one of the themes that I've heard through everything that you all have described here is being able to really pursue your passion and find ways to blend multiple passions together into a career, either in a single job responsibility or finding ways to express your passions through multiple different jobs. So I would like to ask if you could share a little bit more about that. I think that's one thing a young person is always trying to do, is figure out what can you do to make that you will be happy, it will make you happy for a long time, and how can you convert something that makes you happy today into a career and find the right path to do that. Could you share a little bit more?
I have always, as a product of children's theater myself, first of all, I was a product of DC public schools. And so I started off doing oratorical contests in the 3rd grade. I was that talkative kid who third grade teacher could never get control of, and, called my parents one day and said, I think that Kelly would do well going to this children's theater program. And so at a very young age, I was lucky enough to be around people like Kelsey Colley or Mike Malone, or these icons, Vera Katz, these icons at Howard University that would take the time out of their lives back then to pour into all of us young people. Now, this program had karate, it had theater, it had dance, it had all these other things. So while we thought we were there just be focused on one niche, we were exposed to so many different things that allowed us to kind of find our way in our individualized passions. And I think that's something that's so important, even with this panel here, for young people. As I work with them now, it's not about giving someone their talent, or giving someone, something they're not familiar with, it doesn't speak to them. It is about allowing them the freedom to connect inside to what comes out of them. And so when we are able to empower what comes out of young people, that's when we begin to see the different flares of the talents that they have, and sometimes they didn't even know. And so, I was in children's theater. I did and my first show was out of high school at Arena Stage. And at that time, I was going back and forth between doing a radio show for WETA. I was doing the Sunshine Store on NBC. But I was that kid in school that was being, shipped around and being tutored, in the DMV. And I was made fun of. I was made fun of by some of my classmates because I was that guy that played football on Tuesdays, but was in ballet and tights, or tights and leotard on the weekends, So it was a balance, especially for guys who were in theater as well. It's a difficult thing to be an athlete, but then also be an artist. That's something that we work through, But again, those are all different levels of a passion that we have. You know what I mean? It's not about fine tuning or being pigeonholed. It is about having the resources or having the adults around you that will pour into you to allow you to then blossom through whatever your multiple passions may be.
Yes, sir. Like, yes, I hear all of that. And I would say even with my journey, it's been interesting because I grew up dancing, but it was a hobby, right? Like my parents would instill like, think about business or think about being a lawyer or whatever the case may be. And I was born and raised in Little Rhode Island, and even the exposure in dance was very limited to just my dance studio experience. And so the receptionist was, someone's grandmother who's retired. And so it just, a career in dance didn't make sense to me. So when I did go to college, like I'd even look at programs that offer dance as a major. I totally loved my college experience, but didn't even think like that was the direction that I would go in after college, and ended up really enjoying my business classes, and then even minored in digital art and graphic design. And when I moved to Atlanta after college and was just like applying for jobs, corporate jobs, and I'm like, I don't think I want to do this. Like, this isn't where I see myself going. And I made a promise to myself, I didn't want to wear a suit to work every day. That just didn't seem to be like in my future. And I actually reluctantly applied for the dance studio job because, again, I grew up thinking, well, like, I don't know, I'm taking someone's grandma's job. Like, that's like not, and wow, was I proven wrong. It was a completely different experience and really introduced me to arts administration, and that there's a completely different side to the arts that I don't think people always see, because we're looking at the artists, we're seeing who's on stage, we're seeing who's on TV, but there is a whole crew that is behind that to make all those things happen. And so for anyone who is out there who's like interested in the arts, but like is like, I don't want to be on the stage, I don't want to be front and center, there is still an opportunity to work in this field and not have to necessarily be on the main stage, whether that's in the production side of things, the administrative side of things. I mean, someone's got to market these events. Someone's got to, make sure that our finances are in order. Someone's got to train and mentor, the dance artist before they go on stage or, audition or whatever the case may be. There's just a plethora of opportunities to still stay within the arts, even if you don't think that you want to be, right front and center. And so I am so thankful to my postgraduate experience, because it really did open my eyes, and it ended up being like the funnest and best job. Not that this job isn't, but like it was just such an eye opener, and I was just like, what? My mind is like blown. Like there's just a completely different side to this. So there's so much more than what meets the eye when you think about the performing arts.
Well, I think my background was just a little bit different. I was blessed to be with directors and educators when I was a kid that really enjoyed working with me to learn about what I wanted to do. I had folks who were coaching me and mentoring me to be the director that I eventually became. I'm from the eastern shore of Maryland, little small town outside of Ocean City. So I had to travel. I took private lessons on oboe up in Baltimore at Peabody. I don't think anybody on the entire eastern shore knew what an oboe was. But the bottom line is I had adults there who realized that that's what I wanted to do, and they continued to coach me. The undergraduate school that I attended, that was the same school as my high school band director. My middle school band director was a University of Maryland Eastern Shore graduate, and he got me ready for all the festivals, and he's the one who started me on oboe. He's one of my mentors right now. I still talk to him. And as I retired, these are the people that I invited to my retirement party, because these guys were the ones who sat back and heard that I was in Europe as an All-American by the time I was a senior in high school. Letting you know that you can just pick out something and be interested, and you can go all the way to Europe with it. And by the way, that's what I've been doing since with my own students. When I was at John F. Kennedy, I was able to get the kids involved with Lions Club band, and also in Prince George's County, I had them involved, and some of them took long trips because of being active just as I was. So what I did, what I was brought up to do, is became what I was a director to do in PG and in Montgomery counties, and the rest is history. And I, of course, after I retired, in administration, by the way, I finished up at John F. Kennedy and then went into resource administration for Montgomery County Schools and the middle school. That's from where I retired. And all these things were because of people who were interested in me. My principal, for instance, at my high school, who invited me to join administration to work on some courses. And at the end, there I was as a resource assistant vice principal at one of the middle schools in Montgomery County before I retired. So anyway, each one, reach one, teach one. And that's what my history, my education was about. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I can go next. I love what you said. Each one, reach one, teach one. It's so important. And if you are lucky enough to have caring adults in your life, do not take them for granted. I think my story is a little bit different just because what I do is kind of outside the box, especially for people that look like me. And so I think growing up, I was that girl that was always with the guys playing sports. I was a competitive person by nature, even though I was born here. My family's Southern, so we love good food and we love sports, right? So I grew up in this world of sports. I played everything: soccer, tennis, basketball, volleyball, and I absolutely loved it. But then I was also this person that was always like, when I got home early, I was running to go watch the Oprah Winfrey Show. I was running to go watch sports on TV. I love that kind of journalism field. I always loved writing, and I got some experience at the AXO competition and so many more. Like Kelly, I did a bunch of oratory competitions. I was never shy to speak in class or never shy to talk to others. And so, I tried to find a passion that kind of combined the two. And then when I got to high school, I was over the yearbook for 2 years. I was writing for the high school newspaper. But it's funny, when I started Maryland, actually, I was a psychology major because I had got talked out of journalism because everyone's like, Kelsey, journalism's great, but they don't make a lot of money. And then I kept hearing, how hard it would be to be a Black woman in that space. And so when I went into Maryland, I was like, okay, well, I like Law and Order, SVU. Let me just try being a psychologist. They make good money, and I think it'll be cool to do. Got to Maryland, did my first psychology classes, and I didn't feel at home, right? It was harder for me to focus. And I'd always been a student that was really good in school, always in honors and AP classes. But then there, I could do the work, but it wasn't the passion. So lo and behold, I switched to a journalism school, and kind of the rest is history. I felt at home. I loved, getting out and getting the cameras, going around and interviewing students, covering the University of Maryland sports teams. I was doing my internships, I'm working on the TV side, doing the production aspect. Now that I'm in front of the camera, but I worked first behind the camera, but I loved all of it. And I got to network and meet so many great people. And I tell people, like, when you find your passions, there's a way that you can do it to make it into your dream goal or your dream job. Because I would say, don't ever let up on it. If I could go back in time, I wish I would have went to Maryland as a journalism major. I wouldn't have let people talk me out of it. But I also say I was lucky enough to try a bunch of stuff. I also did pageantry in high school. Got me comfortable on stage and talking in front of people. I was modeling when I was in high school. Another thing that also made me confident for myself, right? And to also be in front of the camera. And then even, like I said, going to Maryland, I had great mentors around me, great professors and teachers. A lot of them would rip my work apart at first and be like, Kelsey, this wasn't good enough, and I'd do it again and do it again until I got perfect at it. And of course, that kind of gave me the backbone to make it in the industry, because the industry I work, not everything is golden and roses. You guys know social media culture can be hard, but it gives you a tough backbone. It allows you to just be able to take anything. And I think I love being in the sports realm and being in the sports field, because when I walk into an arena, it feels at home, because I'm around so many different types of people where for those couple of hours, we're all rooting for the same team. And we all kind of want that same goal, right? You want that team to win. And for me, I absolutely love that, being able to storytell. I love that each and every day I get to meet new people, talk with new people. I'm also a person that could not do a regular job where I'm doing the same thing each and every day. And I don't have to just wear a simple suit to work. I get to dress up. Sometimes I dress down. I get to do fun things with my hair. Like it's been really fun to never have a day the same for me. And so that's what I'm big on. I'm competitive. The sports field is competitive. So it kind of allows me to kind of be my best self, but then also have all of the things that I did when I was younger now as a career and goal. So I was blessed to have that. And of course, my parents are now on my back. But when I was first getting into it, they were scared because the industry is tough. It's hard. And again, there wasn't as many that looked like me in the industry. So I was kind of doing something that was outside of the box. But there has to be a first for something. And then of course, you never want to be the last. So I would encourage you, if you want to be in a space, just work hard at it, and it will come to you. And of course, find those right people in your life that will support your dreams and your goals and give you the good love and the bad love, and tell you when things are great, and tell you also that constructive criticism that will make you better and make you a stronger person.
Thank you, Kelsey. Mark, any comments that you have?
Wow. Everything sounds good. And well, as for me, when I was younger, I was very artistic. I could draw anything. I remember kids coming around me, gathering around in school. They had these little contests who could outdraw the other, what have you. And so when I finally made it to everybody, well, when I was young, everybody said, oh, you should go to art school. You should go to art school. You definitely need to do art in college. So I grew up thinking that I'm going to be an artist. So went to college, started first semester. I took some art classes, and it hit me. I don't want to I don't want to be doing pictures for the rest of my life. This is just boring. Okay, I love doing it, but it's kind of it's getting to me now. And so I thought, well, what else can I do? I found an interest in communications. Um, so I switched my major to communications, radio option. And I had a radio show on campus, and I was enjoying that. And after I left campus, got married. I was working in the medical field, guaranteed work for the most part. The money wasn't bad, but that still wasn't it. Anyway, some way I was doing a fundraiser for my church. I decided to recruit young people from all across the metropolitan area. And I put on a production at the Public Playhouse in Cheverly, a theater in Cheverly. And so the idea was I was going around to different churches, and I saw Christian step teams and kids doing Christian double dutching and just praise dancing, which really wasn't allowed in my church because they were very conservative. But I just found it very fascinating. I noticed the excitement when kids saw other kids performing and doing things that they might not see traditionally in their church. So I put together a fundraiser again at this theater. And of course, I went to the pastor. I got the approval. I reached out to different churches that had different step teams and things like that. And I was searching for strong dancers and singers, all youth. And it all came together, and I did the production as a fundraiser. Went well. The pastor came up to me and he said, Brother Mark, this was really great. You need to do another one. So I planned another one approximately 3 months later, and it went off well. Then at the end of the program, a principal from a Christian school in Baltimore came up to me and said, could I bring the program to Baltimore? It's a fundraiser for their school. And then that's when it hit me. These kids are not my kids. They're all kids I got from different churches. I just asked them to be a part of this. Say, how am I going to bring the program to Baltimore? This is not my group. And that's when it kind of hit me that I came up with a great idea. So I need to form my own performance group. So I recruited young people from across the metropolitan area that could dance, work with Debbie Allen and been on the Apollo Theater, just different things. And so it's like God just kept sending strong talent to me. And I just put together a group. I named it Youth in Praise back then. It was a Christian performance group. And long story short, it has been very successful. And I've worked with a lot of top youth talent from all over the metropolitan area. And then maybe I want to think 5 years back, I decided to do a second branch, and I named it Talent Group for Children. Now this group did everything. They stepped, they danced, they rapped, all of these things that the first group did, but this group wouldn't be limited to just Christian material, because I noticed I would go up against a roadblock because if, for example, if we wanted to go into the schools and some rec centers and things like that, because we were a quote Christian group, we were kind of limited. And then some kids were interested in the group, but they thought, yeah, it might be kind of corny because they're dealing with Christian material. So I started a second group. And as long as the material is positive, they could dance, they could sing, they could rap, they could flip on their spin on their head if they wanted to, as long as it's, everything that they're doing is of a positive nature. And that just took off, and that just opened up so many doors for us. We do a lot of things with University of Maryland, Park and Planning, NAACP, different branches. We've coached kids all the way to America's Got Talent. Now I'm working with a young lady, and she's in Germany. She just went on to the second round of the UK Kids Voice. So with this new group, I'm able to just reach out and work with young people all over, and we're not limited, to who we reach. And it's been a very successful group. It's helped to launch the careers of a lot of young people. Some went on to do Broadway, Netflix movies, and national commercials, just different things. So it's been very exciting. And I had no idea I had this in me. But I'll finish up by saying this. Sometimes I wonder, how am I able to do this? Coach singers and dancers and work with the step team and things like that. And I never had formal training to do that. But it finally hit me that artistic background that I had from drawing from art, it carried over, because theater, fine arts, they're all part of the same family. And now I get it. And now what I do, well, the group is nonprofit. So I don't make a living from doing the group, but I started doing photography because I found out an interest in photography maybe about 11 years back. And I try to wrap this up real fast as I can. I'm very passionate, so I go out, I can mumble. Anyway, so I started doing photography because I was taking pictures and folks say, no, your pictures look kind of good. So I got a nice tax return maybe 11 years back. And I said, you know what, I'm going to invest in some professional photography equipment. I started taking pictures, and that took off. So now I'm taking pictures for actors and models, and I'm helping them with their portfolio, to get movie roles, commercial, things like that. So, and that's where I make my actual living. So I do photography and I do the talent group, and I'm able to partially fund the talent group through my photography business and still have the flexibility to do both. And I work for myself, and I have the schedule. So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. John Saunier, share a little bit about how you've been successful in pursuing your passion and turning that into a career.
Well, life is pretty long, and some of the things that Mark shared with you were similar for me. I was also the kid who was always drawing and building things and making crazy things out of nothing. My parents came home one day, and I had painted every tree in the yard purple. But growing up in the South and having parents, myself being one of the first in my family to go to college, my family really believed that I needed to be a professional, a doctor, lawyer, engineer. They really didn't understand art. I really don't think they really understood me as a kid. One of the unfortunate experiences for me as a student, one of my early teachers really didn't support the work I was doing, and she actually really pretty much squashed all my hopes of art, and I really put art down for many, many years. So like many other students, and I think a lot of AXO students, struggle with what do I want to be? What do I want to do? What should I be? And so I followed the path that a lot of other kids did. I first went to college for engineering, and later got into landscape architecture, and that's kind of where I am today. But along the way, working in museums, I ran across Constantine Cephalus, I mentioned earlier. Constantine was a classical Greek art sculptor who grew up in Greece and came to the United States. And I was fortunate enough to actually be able to hire him when I was restoring a sculpture collection for a museum that I worked for. In my work, it's not only the landscape, but sometimes sculpture collections are part of what's in those landscapes. So Constantine invited me to his studio one day and invited me to participate in what he was doing. He wanted to show me a little bit about sculpture. Now for me, landscape architecture, I viewed this as a job. I never viewed it until I met Constantine as art. Drawing plans and presenting plans to people, this was my job. It wasn't necessarily my passion. Constantine, within a matter of half an hour, saw that I had this talent. And it's one of the things that I stress to students, and as I work with students in AXO and when I was teaching college, was that, you know, open yourself up to listening and advice, and if you're fortunate enough to work with a mentor. And so my relationship with Constantine was very classical in the sense that he was a master and I was the apprentice. So throughout the rest of his life, he mentored me. Fortunately, I was able to take that and start very soon after I was exposed to sculpture to actually teach at Northern Virginia Community College, where he was teaching. Along the way, a position opened up at the Corcoran, and I was asked to become an adjunct professor of sculpture there, and which was very rewarding. It was great because I had kids that came in, you know, to art school, and they had this perception of what they wanted to be, and wasn't my role wasn't really to make them me, but for them to find out what was the best in them and what talents they really wanted to pursue. So it was very gratifying. In AXO, it was really a proud day when Wanza, she's in the audience here, I was able to mentor her a couple of years ago. And one of the things that my wife and I really tried to stress to her was how great she was and how talented she was, because she just really didn't see what a wonderful talent she had, what a wonderful talent she has. And so I would say to all the students, you know, as I said in the beginning, life is long. You may start out as thinking that you lead down one path, but be open to the other possibilities, because you may be several things in your career. And just as you start out as one thing, and you're passionate about that, that passion could then lead you into really finding what your true passion is. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Those were all great insights. And now what I'd like to do is open up for questions from the attendees. If anyone has a question that you'd like to ask, please unmute yourself. Anyone at all? All right, then let me ask another question of the speakers. You all mentioned mentors and how important mentors are to you, and how influential they were to you growing up, whether in school or in college or even in your career. I think a lot of times students are hesitant to open up and reach out to people, to ask for mentorship and ask for support and advice. And so I'd like to ask you to share more with the participants around how you would suggest they identify a good mentor and establish a mentor-mentee relationship.
Well, you know, if I can start off again, what I think one of the most amazing things to me is sometimes your mentor reveals themselves in quite amazing ways. You know, as I look back on my life, those that I considered to be mentors at that particular time, I had no idea I was being mentored at that time sometimes, you know what I mean? And so it can be hard for young people to identify that. But I think that expression is so important. So when you find yourself, you know, in a class or in a workshop or something like that, and you find yourself stifled outside of that place, but then for some odd reason, there's a sense of freedom that comes over you when you're in this space, having these conversations, and you're inspired in some type of way. I think that mentorship often starts with what sometimes singularly ignites the slightest flame or spark, you know, in your spirit or in your mind. And I think that in this day and age with social media, we've gone so far away from the ability to verbally communicate, and everybody's texting and, you know, saying how many likes you have and how many people are looking at your picture. And so the first thing I think the young people need to do is to re-embrace and reimagine what verbal communication is. And while you may not feel heard, one thing is for certain: you will not be heard if you don't express, if you don't speak it. And so I think speaking your truth to power is very important. And then the same truth that you speak ignites a flame in that person that sees something in you or something about you that can propel you to another level. And you won't just have one mentor. You know, I look back and there are a dozen people that I can think of that at any particular time in my life right now, I connect to conversations or certain things. A really quick story. I don't want to be fast. I went to Archbishop Carroll High School in Northeast DC. I had a social justice teacher named Robert Hoderney. Now, Robert Hoderney at this time, this is when homelessness was just rampant in DC, he had a very unorthodox teaching style. He was a Vietnam veteran, he was a champion of social justice, and he was just very unorthodox. He had us in droves in downtown DC, you know, chocolate drives and soup kitchen drives. I was volunteering in soup kitchens in DC and making soup for homeless people, you know, on weekends, and never understood what that meant. Then I got older, and as I just celebrated my 30th high school reunion, and there were all these guys in the Archbishop Carroll parking lot, and we all shared this amazing story about this man who's no longer with us, but inspired us to this day to reach out to the community, to reach out to homelessness, to see people in need in a totally different way. And so I say that to say that your mentor or the people that make deposits in your life may not even be in your path of what it is you want to do in life, but the deposits that they make are things that you will use intrinsically throughout your life in different places.
Yeah, I think Kelly hit it on the head so well with so many of that. Like, when it's so hard for me when people ask me, you know, like, who has inspired me? Because so many people have poured into the person that I am today. So I can never answer with just one person, because I really am a person that believes a village raises us all. And I think, you know, when you find a mentor, and it's something that's big and near and dear to my heart, because one of my other roles when I'm not working my jobs is I co-chair the National Association of Black Journalists Sports Task Force Mentorship Committee. So helping young journalists who are interested in sports journalism find those kind of career industry vets. And while I'm also a mentor, I'm also still a mentee. And I think it's something that you can be both of. And I think you'll learn that as you get older in your career. But the mentoring part, I think it's like Kelly was saying, like when you're younger, I don't think you realize who actually is your mentor, but it's those people that are pushing you for greater, pushing you for more, and just making you a better person overall. The person that you are going to ask questions to all the time because you're just trying to read their mind. Like I look back, I went to Boys and Girls Club in Germantown when I was growing up. One of my mentors was Mr. Clayton. And, you know, I remember one time he said, I'm going to teach you how to play chess. I'm like, I don't need to know how to play chess. I love playing checkers. Like checkers is the game. He's like, no, you're going to learn how to play chess. And looking back, it was a life lesson. It wasn't just about me learning how to play chess. That's kind of why there's that saying, but, you know, I learned so much just through that experience. You know, he was always putting me in charge of different things. I was over the teen center. I was a counselor in training. I led the counselor in training program, just different things like that, because I think he knew that I could push my leadership skills and push my leadership tests. It was my third grade teacher, Mrs. Vance, you know, that would talk to me after class, you know, and go over things with me and just try to make me be a better person. I think that's what a mentor is. Even now today, like, you know, when I'm finished a broadcast, my mentors will call me and they'll go over the good things and they'll tell me things I can do better. Because essentially a mentor is someone that wants to invest in you and see you be the best version of you. And I'll say, I mean, I know it's a social media culture now, and I think it's actually kind of a little bit easier to find a mentor now. I'd say I'm big on verbal communication, but now you can reach people that, you know, weren't as easy to reach before. Like so many people that I mentor now reached out to me through a DM on Twitter or through a DM on a direct message on Instagram or even through my Facebook Messenger, because it's easier for them, one, to see my work, and then of course two, to reach me. They reach out to me through my website and things like that. And so essentially, but the people I mentor, because I can't mentor everyone, is the people who I see, you know, do the hard work, right? We'll talk on the phone, we'll have a relationship, and they'll send me their work to review. You know, they call and check in on different things, and vice versa. I'll call and check in with them on different things. But if this person kind of has that hard work and passion, you know, one of the quotes I always share with my mentees, it's from Lamar Jackson, is nobody cares, work harder. We live in a what have you done for me lately world. So what you did was great, but what are you going to do to plan for your future and plan about for the, you know, for the next step, always looking ahead. And the mentor is going to help you kind of find that out, help you find your passions. But again, it goes back to what I said earlier, also give you that tough love, because you also don't want somebody who's going to tell you you're great all the time and you're perfect all the time, because life is about growth. You'll experience change and adversity. Look at the world we're in now, right? With COVID-19, that has, you know, kind of switched us. I reached out to my mentors, you know, when I had to kind of get into this Zoom environment. I was used to traveling all the time and being in front of people's faces, where now I'm trying to still have that personal connection through the camera. So essentially, I'd say the importance of a mentor is that you're going to have somebody that has your back. You have a caring adult. You're going to have somebody that's there for the good times and the bad times, someone you can storytell with, someone you can brainstorm with, and somebody you can cry to, somebody you can also laugh with, and somebody that you can learn and grow from. So I highly, highly, highly recommend getting a mentor. And if you don't think you have it in your life, I challenge you, because you probably do. You just probably haven't identified them yet as an actual mentor, but it's that person that goes above and beyond kind of the grain and pushes you towards greatness, even when you sometimes yourself don't think, you know, you're ready for that next step or that next level.
Great feedback. Vanessa?
Yeah, a lot of what was already said, I won't like rehash, but I think one thing that struck out, or a message, I guess I should say, is that, you know, a lot of your life lessons are being shared now, but you'll understand them later. There's a lot that people in my life have poured into me, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then, yeah, 10 years later, 15 years later, it was like, oh, it all makes, the light bulb goes off. So, you know, there are the formal mentor-mentee relationships, but then there are these like one-off moments that could also happen that, again, you'll hear it now, but you'll understand it later. I think another thing to kind of what Kelsey was saying is like, yeah, we can't mentor everybody, right? And so when you are seeking out, when you are being intentional about seeking out mentors, you have to show up for yourself and be ready to invest in yourself. We are all living busy lives, even you as youth. Like, I've heard plenty of stories of what some of our young kids are doing these days. And like, I'm like, how do you keep up? I wasn't doing that at that age. I was just, you know, going to school, do my homework, hang out, and then like go to dance class, and that was it. Like, you know, like it was, you guys are doing so much. So one, you are probably just as busy as your mentor. So like, to show that investment and to show that you are ready to work on yourself and show up in that way, that definitely allows for that relationship to be built on a stronger foundation. And that person will be like, okay, you're invested, I will invest. But if it's one-sided, even on your end as a mentee, right? Like if it just feels like you're always reaching out and they're always canceling meetings or things of that nature, like don't be afraid to also like pivot for yourself too. And if you feel like, you know, of course you've got your teachers, you've got your like inner circle, but I would be remiss because I do work at an association and we do a lot. We're an intergenerational network. And so we have our annual conference and festival that people will come together. We call it our big family, our big Black dance family reunion. But then from there, they've built those connections and they're able to maintain that beyond this, you know, week-long event. And through our association, regardless of, you know, what your art form is, I'm sure there's an association that speaks to that. And they usually have some type of mentorship program. And so if you are looking for some, I mean, again, I don't want to rehash what was already said, so I'm trying to give you something a little bit new. Like, there are a lot of associations that do have student memberships that are at a much, you know, a discounted rate. So it's feasible, hopefully feasible for students to be a part of, and then they can network. You know, I don't know if there's any dancers out there, but we have, you know, members like Hope Boykins, who is with Alvin Ailey Dance Theater, Anthony Burrell, who is a popular commercial dancer who has danced with Mariah Carey and Beyonce, who are a part of our network. And as a student member, you have access like everybody else and can, yes, DM them in their Instagram, but how is it, you know, that you're even in an association that you share space with them and can like literally look at their profile and get their telephone number and get their, you know, get their email address because you've been a part of this association. So there's definitely more than one way to look at how do you want to reach that person that you feel that you'll build a connection with. And sometimes we dream, you know, we dream big. We're like, oh my gosh, I want to look at the stars and talk to that person. And oftentimes, unfortunately, you kind of then like finally get to meet them and you're like, ooh, okay, there are so many, like the industry is so vast. So know that like you can build relationships with a lot more people who may not have that star power or celebrity status and could get you so much further than that person who does. So that's my 2 cents.
Excellent advice. Thank you so much.
I'd like
Anything else?
to add,
Go ahead, Mark.
for me, growing up, I grew up in Jamaica for early part of my years, and my father, he died before I was born. My mother, she was living in the States, and my grandfather raised me. And so as a young person, I truly did not have a mentor growing up. And even to this day, I'm not sure if I have anyone that I could really call a mentor, but God has provided different folk along the way that's, you know, I can call and kind of talk to. And, you know, they pray with me if I'm dealing with different situations, especially dealing with young people. It's very stressful. If it's not the kids, it's a parents, and sometimes it's the kids and the parents. It's very stressful, and it feels kind of lonely sometimes because I have not met another person like me. And sometimes I wonder, you know, why am I not like a normal person? But God called me to be there for young people, so that's what I do. But I would say this, as far as the mentorship thing goes, I can't really look at one particular person that I would say is a mentor to me, but what I find myself doing is being the mentor to many that I did not have. And that gives me a lot of fulfillment because again, a lot of what I do now, I'm providing mentorship and things like that I wanted as a child and didn't have. And again, it has its own rewards. And I end this by saying, you know, one of the things that frustrates me is young people need so much help. And every time I reach out to so many people, you know, oh, it's a wonderful thing you're doing, and I would love to help, but, oh, it's so wonderful, but, you know, it's sad when you have so many folk out there, and I'm sure they got help to get to where they're at now, but they just, when it comes to them giving back, you know, it's always an excuse. But for me, um, the reward I get on the inside, knowing that I'm investing in a young person's life, and whether or not they appreciate it, there's a fulfillment. There's a void that is not there, because before I started working with young people, you know, I had a nice home, I had a nice family, lived in a nice neighborhood. You know, I wasn't rich, but I was comfortable. And, you know, all of that was going for me. But there was something missing. And when I started investing into the lives of young people, and again, I think that comes out of a place where I did not have that growing up. And now that I'm invested in the life of these young people, it gives me that's something that was missing, because a lot of folk out there, the doctors and lawyers, they whatever the profession is, and they're making good money. Like I said, they have the home, the car, all of that good stuff, nice family, you know, everybody basically healthy, but something's still missing. And for me, I'm living what's called on purpose. I feel like I'm living on purpose. So if God forbid, if Corona takes me out tomorrow or next week, I feel like I made a difference. And a lot of folk don't realize, when you invest, especially young people, when you invest in young people's lives, and so many young people out there need guidance and need somebody to be there for them. When you reach out of yourself, you try to help young people, there's blessings that come your way. And it's not always financial. It's just that fulfillment that you feel on the inside. And that's what I'm dealing with right now. You know, I'm like a starving artist, because I do photography, especially with a pandemic. Oh my goodness, weddings, all that stuff, you know, you can forget it. So I really don't make a lot of money these days, again, especially because of pandemic. But so I'm like a starving artist, starving photographer, what have you. But I'm still working with the young people, and it just, you know, it makes me forget my financial situation and stressing about the pandemic or what have you. I'm still happy on the inside. And a lot of people can't say that. And I really believe it's because I'm stepping outside of myself. So, you know, it's great to have mentors in your life. Again, I don't have anybody that can really stand out and say, this person mentored me. But again, I'm trying to give what I did not get. I'm trying to give. And yeah, that's my story.
Thank you, Mark. And I think that's something everybody realizes over time, is that being a mentor, you learn as much from your mentee as
Yes.
the mentee learns from the mentor. So it's definitely a two-way, you know, beneficial relationship on both sides for, you know, for your personal growth and satisfaction. So thank you for that.
And I add one last thing to that. Some of the young people I work with, you know, I coach them, but the things they do, I can't do. And they, you know, they have a saying, I'm sure you guys heard it, who can't teach? And I teach or coach or whatever you want to call it, but at the end of the day, I cannot sing as well as some of the young people that I teach to sing. And it just, I admire their talent, and it's just kind of cool. So I learned from them, you know, and it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And that would be one word of advice I would give to the people who are listening and the students, is that even if you are asking someone to mentor you, think about what you can contribute to your mentor's growth, how you can help them learn and grow and teach them as much as they're teaching you. We do have one person who would like to ask a question, and that's Tevin.
I guess I'll straight up.
Hi, Tevin.
Yes, I just had a question. Well, first, my name's Tevin. I go to Messiah University in Pennsylvania. I'm studying digital media, and I'm graduating this December. I live in Gaithersburg, so kind of like well, Miss Kelsey, like Clarksburg, Germantown. Yeah, so I kind of live around here. But yeah, I just had a question. So especially now during like the pandemic and COVID, it's with anybody to answer. How do you think is the best way to go about kind of getting yourself out there and connections and things like that? You know, just, you know, where we are right now, everything's kind of virtual. So I was just kind of wondering, do you guys have any insight and anything like that?
Social media has really helped me. I'm going to say it. Everyone talks about social media being so a bad influence, but actually it's helped me keep up with my students. That's how I've kept up with all of my kids' social media, has kept my music flowing. One of my graduates from, oh man, let me date myself, one of the young people that I had back in 1983, who is now a minister and a government worker in West Virginia, asked about hosting a Zoom for all of my students at Duval High School in Prince George's County. He asked me about that a couple days ago, and it made my day. The point is, we're going to get together. And there have been hundreds of kids since that time. That's more than 20 years ago that I was the director of, who have careers and so forth. And it's made a real important part. It's been a very important part of my life. And especially now that I'm retired, I keep up with them because of my Facebook account, some of my Twitter things. So that's what we do since the pandemic. It's made it even better that we talk that way and we don't come out of our house to see each other. That's where my kids have Laura, you're gonna love it. They call themselves HOP Kids, HOPKIDS. My HOP kids are all around Montgomery, Prince George's County, even in Northern Virginia, and they connect with me through Facebook. Just letting you know, young man, it still works. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Hop hit it on the head, honestly. So social media is something I've overutilized probably during COVID, because essentially I think COVID has kind of made two types of people who are going above and beyond now, because I think I work even harder now since the pandemic hit, and then some people who are quite comfortable, which is not wrong. You know, some people need that relaxation break. But I know for me, when COVID hit, I was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, what am I going to do? Because I had so many trips planned over the summer that, of course, that were no longer there. And so for me, I took that time to revamp my entire website myself. I revamped my LinkedIn page, you know, cleaned up my Twitter, my Facebook. And then I started doing, to have a radio show, I started doing live streams of those shows. And then I thought about it. I was like, I'm going to go big or go home. So I started reaching out to like the top guests, right? Because I knew they're at home too, and they're stuck, right? And they're still going to want to connect and interact with people. So I had Donovan McNabb, Kurt Angle, like some of the top guests on my show. And everyone's like, how are you getting them, Kelsey? Well, I pitched myself. I used social media. Like I said, I had cleaned up my Twitter pages and stuff like that. And actually how I'm like a month and a half into my job with the Washington football team, they referenced a lot of the interviews I did during the COVID period during my interview process. So that I'm kind of a product of someone getting a new freelance gig because of the work that I did during quarantine. And I've been preaching that to my students. My students now, they run Sirius XM Slam Radio, channel 145. And during COVID, you know, we were still having to do a radio show, and they're doing it from home now. But that's the great thing about technology now. I mean, you have no excuse to not be making yourself better. And then you're growing up with technology, right? You have your classes that have technology. All you really need is this laptop, you know, and a pair of like headphones, and you can kind of work from anywhere. So I'd say definitely utilize social media, make those connections and reach out, find that mentor during this time period, because it's kind of easier to reach people now because less people are traveling, right? Because they're scared, you know, because of COVID, people are home. They're looking for stuff to do, you know, they're trying to interact, especially if they're extroverted like me. You're trying to find something to keep you active while you're at home, like me in my tight little apartment, you know, to keep going. And so I'd say now is a better time than ever, honestly, to revamp yourself. I always say you should come out of COVID-19, hopefully whenever that ends, you should come out stronger than you went in, because you should be learning so much about yourself each day. Challenge it at yourself. Try something new. You know, this is the time period to do it. So when you come out, you kind of know what works and what doesn't work. But with social media now, like now talking about mentor and mentee relationships, I'm learning how to use TikTok. You know, I was not on TikTok. I'm learning how to use TikTok. My bosses want me to learn how to use TikTok. So why not learn now, right? I'm comfortable on all the other social media platforms. So my mentees are kind of helping me get through that process. And so of course, when this is over, you know, I'll be strong at that. You know, I'm launching a new show. brainstormed this whole show, you know, during the COVID-19 period, and, you know, and I'll see if it works, you know, I'll see if people interact with it and if people support it. So I'd say now is the time to just kind of go outside the box and maximize your time, because everybody else is doing what you're doing. So no one's gonna really get to say that they're busy, you know, because you kind of know what they're doing. And if they say that, I'd say kind of push them or nudge them a bit, and they'll probably get back to you.
You're here for TikTok. Me too.
There you go.
It's the rabbit hole, but it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm in that rabbit hole myself.
Oh my gosh, it's so much. But I'm going to just push a little bit again on the associations right now during COVID, because a lot of them have reduced their pricing or even made it free. And so then you would have access to resources that would have typically been under a paid membership that you now have access to. Like, yes, there's a network. I feel like we've honed that in, so I won't drive that point home anymore. But there's resources out there that have, I mean, I'm sure, I know when COVID first hit, I felt like I was on every webinar because everything was free. And I've since scaled back, but I think that there is opportunity to like look for these. I mean, for example, Adobe, their annual conference is like crazy expensive in my opinion. But I was able to experience it last week absolutely for free. 3 days online, 300 sessions. Like it was just mind blowing that they gave this like at $0 to everyone. And so I would also spend this time like really trying to find any free opportunities or close to free or reduced pricing that would get you into the door and allow you to network in a whole other group of people that you may not have.
I also want to add that don't ever forget the importance of surrounding yourself or increasing your personal circle with like-minded individuals, because a lot of times you can create your own small group think tanks and you'd be surprised. A lot of times as artists or as creative people, we can sometimes, you know, lock ourselves off and think that, you know, we're the only ones thinking about this or that. But don't ignore the power of surrounding yourself with this small group of core friends that have, you know, like thoughts. The rebranding, I mean, for example, I'm in Rockville. And so, you know, when COVID came, everything changed as well. I've had a theater arts partnership with the city of Gaithersburg since 2015. And so in January, I was about to go into pre-production for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I was going to open at the Arts Barn in Gaithersburg. I'm supposed to be right now working on Ain't Misbehaving. It was supposed to open in January. I was supposed to do Ruined a month and a half ago. And so this period has definitely created a whole like reshaping and reimagining what performing arts is. We don't know when true live performance is coming back. We don't know. So those that were ahead of the curve, they were already ready for streaming, already ready. But then those of us who weren't, we had to take that summertime crash course. Like, okay, wait a minute, I need this, I gotta do that. Wait a minute, Zoom what? Okay. And so for me, which is why I launched Unbreakable Art, was because I wanted to create a website that was specific to the DMV, that wasn't just your run-of-the-mill, like, I'm not knocking this at all, but it wasn't your run-of-the-mill explore talent type website, which would just, you know, pay these crazy amounts of money to be dropped on a Barbizon or explore talent website. I wanted it to be a development site as well, where there were going to be master classes. There are going to be, you know, classes in public speaking, and you know, and having to rebrand that and make it all virtual was a whole different thing, you know. But so while I've never been anti-social media at all, but I'm definitely way involved in social media right now because it's what's necessary. And I wish that I had taken the steps earlier on to prepare myself better. But what I can say, as Kelsey was saying and as Vanessa said, is that you can't be afraid to do the work. You can't be afraid to dive in there and do the work. there's a lot of resources out there that are not crazy expensive. You know, you on IG and Facebook all the time. A lot of this stuff is so half price and third price or free right now because everybody's doing one thing right now. Everybody has their phone in their hand and their laptop. So the one thing I can say that COVID has done, it has actually forced people, I think, to listen and pay attention a little more to what's going on, to what's available to them, and not just invest in, you know, the regular side of social media, but actually the power side of it as well. And the toughest thing, I think, for even adults right now is learn how to brand yourself. Learn how to market yourself, because the greatest marketer of what you are or what you do is going to be you. You know what I mean? And so many times we can have other people, you know, say, well, this is what you do. But, you know, you have to, when someone asks that question, what is it that you want? What is it that you do? What is it that you plan to do? That, I think, is a big key, along with always remember the one thing you see in all these panelists up here is always remember to reach back. Always remember, no matter what you do, reach back. There is a kid, a teenager right behind you with the same struggles that's just looking for somebody to say, hey, you can do it too. So no matter how big you get, just reach back. My freshman, sophomore, and junior year at Howard, my classmates were Taraji Henson, Anthony Anderson, Paula Parker. We were all in the same theater classes at Howard. Now, granted, they made different turns, you know what I mean? But I realized that once I finished that my passion was teaching. My passion was directing because of how I was pulled out of in children's theater. And so it didn't make me feel less than them. What it did was it gave me a different venue so that now if I need to, I can actually reach out to them and say, hey, how about a master class? How about, you know, reaching out to talk to these kids over here? So just remember, no matter what you do, always paint the pathway to pull somebody else along with you. Sorry, that was long-winded, sorry.
No, that was very insightful. And as you were talking, I'd just like to interject also just one thought, and it's about building your network and really starting now, even in high school and college, build your network. I guarantee you, everyone on this panel moved where they were based on the relationships that they had. You know, you talk about applying for jobs. Most people don't get jobs by applying for them. Most people get jobs through the network and people who know who they are, know what they can do, know their past successes. So even in college, you need to really start to build your network and put out there. Don't be afraid to tell people what you want to do, tell people where you want to go and what you want to accomplish. The more you make people aware of and understand what it is you want to do, the more you'll find people reaching out to you to help you do that and give you those opportunities. But if you sit back and just wait, it's not going to happen. You've got to be the one really telling your story and letting people know that. Kelvin Dukes, I know you have a question to tie on to this.
Hello, let me just cut my camera on really quickly.
All right.
Let me see.
Good, Kelvin.
Hey, Mr. Mark. All right, let me see. Can everybody see me?
We can see you.
All right, but one thing I actually wanted to tie in with the social media thing that we were actually talking about as well, but like mostly also business cards as well, because I give out business cards and stuff like that because I want to market, and not only market, but since social media is such a big thing now, since we are in a pandemic and quarantine, it's also really good to get yourself out there on social media. I've garnered over 100,000 followers off of social media by just me doing what I love, so singing. And so that's really good to get yourself out there. And don't be afraid to email if you have stuff coming up as well. I have stuff coming up in Christmas time that I email to other people and tell them to make sure you check it out as well. So don't be afraid to put your foot and step your foot forward and just give your best effort, because yeah. So that's what I wanted to add, but yeah.
That's awesome, Kelvin. Thank you.
No problem.
Anyone else have any questions? Anyone else in the audience? All right, well, so we've gone a good hour and 15 minutes. I want to thank all the panelists. This has been a really great discussion. I think we've all learned something from each other and really appreciate the dialogue that we have here. To the students that are on the line with us, I want to encourage you to please look at AXO and look at, we've posted in the chat the application forms and the links to learn more about AXO. Please be sure to take a look at that and consider applying and competing in the AXO competition. That will also open many, many doors to you. You will be amazed at the people that you meet, both locally as well as when you go to the national competition. And you can also build a lot of mentors and associations and relationships through AXO. So I really hope that you will take advantage of that. One comment I did want to make is that I think it was Vanessa mentioned a dancer, Anthony Burrell, or choreographer, Anthony Burrell. Was that you, Vanessa, mentioned that? Maybe it was Kelsey.
Sorry, yes, it was me.
Okay.
Anthony Burrell.
Yep. So just to drop a name there, Anthony Burrell actually is the official choreographer for the national AXO competitions as well. So he judges and choreographs for AXO. So very excited that we have some very big names that participate and are past AXO competitors. Kelly, you mentioned a couple of people also that have, they're big stars now that have previously participated in AXO. So AXO really gets you where you want to go and gives you lots of exposure and experience in your craft. So please follow up with me and Pat. We hope that you'll participate. And with that, we want to wish everyone a very happy Halloween. And thank you so much to all of our participants, Kelsey Nelson, Mark Joyer, Kelly Chauncey, Pat Hopkins, and Vanessa. Thank you so much. And John Saunier. I was trying to go through the list here. Hope I didn't miss anyone. But thank you so much, all of you, for participating and sharing all of your insights and wisdom tonight.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Really great talking to you guys.
Yes, everybody
Stay
take
safe,
care.
stay well.
Stay safe. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
Bye, Kay.
Bye, Mr. Mark.
Good
One
seeing
of my
you.
mentees, by the way.
Thanks to all the panelists and Laura Dennis for being a terrific host for this session. Thank you all.
Good night.
All right.
Thanks, Pat Price. Thank you always.
Hey, Miss Pat.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Got your message about the November 20th performance. So I'll post that.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Bye, Miss Pat.
Hi, Kelvin. See you soon.
Hi, Miss Dennis. Hi, Miss Dennis. How are you?
I'm good.
That's
I'm
really
good.
good. That's good.
Congratulations, Kelvin. We watched
Thank
you. You're a superstar.
You
Thank
are.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all have a great night, okay?
Okay, you too.
I'm Wanza.
I'm Wanda.
I'm Wanza.
Hi, she's saying hi in the chat.
Oh, okay. All right.
Good
Bye-bye.
to see you, Wanda. Stay in touch. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome. That was fun.
Yes, it was. Thanks so much.
Thanks for including me, Miss Pat.
You're welcome, and I'm glad you got it to work.
Yes, amen. All right. I was trying to block myself, but it didn't work out. Oh, well.
That's okay. We needed to see you.
Yeah. You take care, okay? Be safe, everyone.
All right. You too.
All right. You do
Great
the same.
job, Laura. Nice meeting you.
Thank you. Great insights.
Okay.
Really appreciate it. Take care. All right, Pat. Good job. Good
No,
job.
great job. Quick question. Have you heard anything else from the Black Arts program? Did you get any more response? Because I saw something from Kim today asking.
Oh, okay. Oh, from Kim. Okay, yes. No, I think I have 3 people. My child, Joe, and Kelvin.
Okay, so I'm going to see about Connie and Henan, because I really would love her to do it.
Yeah, and I had sent a note. I'm pretty sure I copied you. I sent a note to Connie and her mom, and I don't think I got a response. That was a few days ago.
Yeah, and I thought she had registered for this session, and then I realized, ooh, I never saw her. So
Right.
I texted her, but I didn't get anything back. So
Okay.
I'm just going to check to make sure they're okay, because
Okay.
it's kind of not the norm that I don't hear anything.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of strange. Her mom didn't even respond. Yeah, so I
Right,
figured.
that's what I'm saying. I'm wondering, is everything okay? So
Okay.
I'll just do a follow-up with that. But great session.
Yeah. How was the first one was good too, huh?
Good, but different. Because we were trying to get students to talk. And then we had a bunch of people who were adults.
That's weird. Yeah.
So
Well,
that was kind of interesting. And so one of them I'm going to have to follow up with. She's visually impaired. I think she is legally blind. And she has some questions, and I'm like, well, we can't, it was like we were ending, and she was doing this long thing, and I was like, I'll get back to you. So I just called her and left her a message.
I see.
But this was good. This was very good.
The other person I had reached out to was Assad, because I think he said that he had done a Malcolm X portrait.
He did.
Which would be very applicable for the November 15th.
Yep. Yeah. So I just thought about that. I didn't see his sister. At least I don't think so. I will text the mom.
Okay.
And him and let them know we really would like that for the Black Arts program. It's the 15th, right? Not the 8th. Okay.
Yeah.
But something else I got was the 8th. And then I'll send out, I guess, today and tomorrow about the HBCU fair that Mount Calvary is doing on the 14th and maybe the 13th.
Okay.
Okay, so this was good, and we have to really start talking about a virtual competition.
Yeah, I think.
We've done it, so we kind of know.
Hard the next time around, we've got the process down.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, because I want Angela to begin the work on that, and for Wanda to maybe start getting a committee together to handle the numbers, and I'll put that out there to all these people who told me, oh, I really want to help, but then maybe not so much. But that might be something they would be willing to do.
Right.
To do the tabulation.
Yeah.
And now that we know we're probably going to do a virtual, we need to get volunteers to do the hosting.
Oh, for the virtual?
Right.
Oh, you mean for the, okay, you mean like the proctors and all that?
Right, the proctors, thank you.
Right.
Okay. And I think that a week from now, we should start, we should think about date. And I saw at the last meeting about budget. I was like, oh yeah, gee. So I'll start to put some numbers together as though we were actually going to North Carolina. And, I'll send them to you, look them over, and then we can kind of massage them so that we can have them before the next executive committee meeting.
Okay.
So that we can send that to, who was it, Carolyn, that was asking about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I'm going to check with Clive to see what our actual number is.
Okay.
What we have, because we didn't spend that much.
Mm-hmm.
But so we should, I'm thinking we have like $2,000 or close to that.
Yeah, we should. We should have some.
Yeah. So I just have to look back to see what I had in finances from last year. And think about how we can monetize the poetry reading. How we can get people to donate. I don't want to put a price on it. but how we can get some people to donate that.
Can we just do a GoFundMe and just just have GoFundMe as, you know,
We could do GoFundMe, or we can do it through Eventbrite, but doesn't matter. I think we need to think about that. And I don't think they have a dance studio, but I'll ask. That International Association of Blacks in Dance, who I literally found by accident.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, and the fact that they're in Silver Spring is even more interesting.
Yeah.
I've never heard of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to tell Giselle about it. Yeah.
Because I was like, really? I was looking for something else, and that came up, and I was like, oh, well, what is this?
Right.
So
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so that was a pretty good hit. Yeah.
So now it's just because I still think we need a studio if we can get one. But it's early enough for us to ask around. And, there still might be adventure theater. I don't know what they will or will not do, but we should look to see what possibilities there are.
Right. At least start planning ahead. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
What are we going to do about recruiting? I guess that's it.
Well, I sent it to all the schools. I sent to the liaisons. If you don't have the list, I'll send that list to you. We don't have a liaison at every school, but MCPS, if I go through the communication person, he might be, because he sent this stuff out to schools about this virtual career fair. Because I wanted to see where students were getting information from.
Right.
Like how they were finding out. I didn't hear one thing from a liaison. I didn't hear one thing from a CCIC. But I did hear it was on my school's website, which was interesting. And I know, there were, I think 2 high schools who actually put it on their site, and a middle school.
Okay.
So, so that tells me I know it can be done.
Right.
So now I can ask for that.
Right. Okay.
So,
awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
And you don't have to come tomorrow, but if you want to, you can.
Yeah, I'm going to just sit in on it. I learned a lot. So
I learned a lot today. John, thank you so much.
Our new puppy, our COVID, this is our COVID.
Oh, please. My sister has this huge cat, and I'm like getting used to having a pet again. Because I haven't had a pet in, 30 years. Since I was a kid. So, the cat wants to crawl up on me, and he's a kind of long-haired cat who I have to comb periodically. But it's been interesting.
Yeah, we're still going through the puppy training period, so I think he's ready for his walk, right? You ready to go for a walk? He's still biting because he's still got his baby teeth, so yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, the cat will let me know if I haven't cleaned out the litter box quickly enough.
Oh.
She'll leave me something someplace else.
This is Giselle.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Giselle, but yeah, we're doing all the walking and feeding and everything. So.
Oh, well, that's what my parents would always tell us. It's our pet, but they really did a lot.
Right.
Until they got sick of it, and they were like, no, you have to do this.
Now it's on you. Right, yeah.
So, okay, great session. I'm glad this worked out because I wasn't sure.
Yep.
And we had, as I said, I noticed some of the email addresses because they were names that I knew, and I was like, this person's not a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I didn't know. And I know there was someone on this call, and I don't know if it was her or her child, but I know she's definitely an adult.
Okay, well, at least
no.
I was worried that nobody would show up, so I'm glad.
Oh, no. I knew that we had enough people that because I said, once you get to 20, then that means at least half the people are going to come.
Right.
Half are cool. Yeah. So I was like, okay, we'll have people.
So that was good. Yeah, that was about right, too, that 10, 12.
And I know Kelsey's mom came. I'm going to have to email her again. because her daughter sings, and I want
Yeah.
to see if she'll do the Black Arts
Oh,
competition.
that would be great. Yeah, I would love that. Yeah.
So I will have to get in touch with the mom because I'm sure she's using a UMBC email address, which I don't have.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm trying to think of an instrumentalist.
Well, I sent
And
it to Kyle, right? Included Kyle, but I don't know. Maybe he's too busy. I don't know.
probably busy because, you know, he's got that whole college application thing.
Right.
But I also want to say he seems to stick more to classical pieces.
Right. Right.
So he has to know well in advance.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You know, because I had asked him about doing Lift Every Voice and Sing once, and it was like, well, I don't know if I have time to learn it. And I was like, okay, not that complicated. But now that, I know I have to give him a lot of time in advance.
Yeah, and I don't think
to do that.
I was trying to remember. I guess I could look at the old spreadsheet from the competition. Who else competed? You know, back in the spring, if there was any instrumentalists that was a good.
We did. Well, I did. I didn't. Were you on that session? Because I don't remember.
You know, that's what I was trying to remember. I guess I was not. I must have been on the classical one because I remember Kyle's, but for some reason I don't remember any of the contemporary. So I must not have been on that one.
So, but I don't remember any of them playing. I just know the judges weren't thrilled by them.
All right, I'll go through. Yeah, maybe.
But I know one is a pianist. Last name is Ballinger.
Okay. You know what? Maybe I was on that because he was terrible.
Oh, really? And that's no. I'm laughing. I'm laughing because the mom was telling me how good he was. I don't. But I you know, again, I don't know these kids, so.
Right. That's why I'm hesitant to just send a random request out for participants because, you know, we want.
Because you don't want someone who's really not there.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I will try to hit up Quasi on Instagram.
Okay.
To see, because if he can play something, he's going to play it well. He's not gonna.
There was that young girl who did the Motown event that time, who I just loved. And I don't know who she was, but she was she was in college, but she had a beautiful melodic voice.
Motown.
When you did the Motown event at the church that time, and and there was a girl that sang.
I'll have to look at the flyer because I'm trying to think who this, because she wasn't in AXO then. She had
she'd already gone to college, but she had.
About Jasmine, are you?
Jasmine, maybe.
Jasmine McCoy, who does Hearts of Tabitha?
No.
Because she's a singer.
Ah, okay.
And she's done classical work, but I don't remember if she sang at that Motown event.
No, this was a girl. She was a little bit kind of chubby, kind of a I don't know.
And she had done AXO previously.
Yeah, I think she'd even won either regionally or nationally.
Well, it wasn't with me, so.
Okay,
we haven't had a singer who's medaled. Oh, Kaylin! That's who you're talking about.
That name.
Kaylin, yeah, beautiful voice.
Yes.
She's in Las Vegas, but I'll ask her if she's available because I know she's working.
Okay.
But yeah, she does, and yes, she was our national medalist. She does have a beautiful voice.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So I will. What time is it? Because I don't remember. Do you? I have to look at the flyer.
3 to 4:30, or let me see if I can look it up. It was either 3:30 to 5 or 3 to 4:30.
Okay.
Let's see. And I'll forward you the email I sent to Assad. 3 to 4:30 on the 15th.
Okay. So I will see. We had so many seniors last year. So some of them are in college. I think Assad is taking a year off. I have that in my head. But now, one of the people who was at this session, who I have to now look to see if she was in AXO because I'm not remembering her. But I think she is a college student now.
Mm-hmm.
Was she on this session or maybe she was on the other one? I'm just trying to remember. I'll have to look.
And what about Lancey? Lancey's a beautiful singer.
If I can get her.
Okay.
And I say if I kind of think she was upset about her evaluation. She didn't say anything to me, but her mom responded that, this is just one person's opinion and, you're terrific, blah, blah, blah. So
right.
I know that she can be very sensitive.
Okay. And there was I'm looking at the list of who competed in vocal contemporary. Young man Raymond Ingram.
Also a freshman in college, but I will get in touch with his mom.
Okay. All right.
Because now, if I don't hear from her, then I know something's wrong.
Okay.
Because he also went to Northwood, and he does have a really nice voice, but I'm not sure about his song choice sometimes. Because he sang something the year before that I thought was okay. And then his mom says, well, I told him to sing this other song. So he's singing a cappella. And I was like, well, why didn't you sing that? That's really good. And I'm pretty sure he was in the Maryland State Choir. So I knew he could sing. And I heard him sing at some other competition, and I didn't like that choice either.
Okay, so we'd have to maybe coach him, and maybe we could just say to him,
"No,
the song we want you to sing."
Right? No. His mother, I'm sure, would love for him to sing, and definitely a Motown thing because of her own connection with Motown.
Oh, that's right. She's the one. Her cousin or great aunt. What was it?
It's her aunt.
Her aunt, okay. Yeah.
Part of the Supremes.
Right, Supremes. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I'll text her tonight and see, because I actually had forgotten all about Raymond. And I was like, where are other singers? I just, I'm not sure what's going on there. But you know what I didn't think? I should have talked to Pat Hopkins about how we can recruit singers and instrumentalists, and she's done both.
Okay.
Now, there's an organization that I can't think of the name, but they're in PG County, and they do something with, they do something with classical singers.
Okay. Interesting.
So, but I can't think of the name of them. And I was going through some email to see if I had deleted them, which I must have.
The only other person I see who competed in the spring was Gabby Gagne. I don't remember.
I'm trying to think, did she really compete?
Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe she was one of the no-shows.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because in my brain, I don't think she competed.
Okay. And then what about, we have some of the kids that did poetry performance. In addition to Jamia, we had Jembu, Traore, and Wawen the Windy. So I don't know if we want to.
So let's see who did it. You said
Jembu Traore.
Right. I sent her something today, so that's funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Wawen the Windy, but I think Wawen was also a no-show.
Yes, they were, and I believe that they were senior.
Okay. All right.
But there are some people that I would ask from that group from Northwest because they were really good. They could do that. I actually spoke to Tenon at the writing workshop. So I'll get back to her since I just spoke to her today.
Oh, okay.
And I will email Miss Greenlee, and because I don't know what they're doing in school. I mean, I don't know like what's going on. So I'll email her and just let her know what we're doing, and that we would love for some of the students from that forensic team to compete. I mean, to do the Black Arts and of course compete. But I honestly don't know what they're doing for after school stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, does Giselle have clubs at her school?
They do, and they're doing them virtually, most of them.
Okay, so maybe that's what they're doing. I just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what the public schools are doing.
Yeah, because I realize this is probably the first time, and I know somebody who's in high school, but I know like Noel's son is in private school, so I don't know what they're doing in public school, because that would be the first person I would call and say, oh, well, what is your son doing, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And the other person that I would just normally contact about, that kind of stuff, they've moved. So they're not even in Maryland anymore. So I'm like, okay, I got to think like who I could talk to. And I'm going to lean a little more on the parent council reps. Because Latrice sent me the liaisons and the parent council reps. So she agreed that they'll, but I just say, I know from in the past with parent council reps in high school, they got a lot of stuff going on. And depending on what their relationship is with the people at the school, they usually don't even know the liaisons.
Right, but why can't parent council reps be the liaisons?
Because it has to be an MCPS employee.
Oh, okay, I see. All right, okay.
Yeah, I because initially I didn't understand what was going on, but just like I'm technically not supposed to email them, I was like, I don't have time.
Right.
Because I'm not an MCPS employee.
Okay.
Like supervisor, I'm not supposed to really talk to the MCPS liaisons. But I can't wait. You got to get it to them on Wednesday for them to get it out next Tuesday. I was like, nah, I don't always have it like that.
Right.
And I don't know who Latrice works for now. But if she doesn't make the big push, the liaisons don't make the push.
I see. Okay.
Sylvia, who I worked with before, would kind of lean on people a little when she needed to.
Okay.
But I don't think that Latrice does that. And again, I don't know who Latrice is reporting to.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Statham, wasn't really a player anymore. And I still am unclear about what she's doing. I heard recruiting, and I'm like, I thought that's what HR does, but I'm sure she's working out her contract.
Yeah, but didn't we get an invite to those? I guess there's an upcoming monthly meeting, right?
There is something. There is something coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. We should, and you have to let me know your availability. We should try to set up to, even if it's a 10-minute talk with, what is her name? Whoever the new associate superintendent, I don't know. Whoever that person is, prior to that meeting.
Okay.
Or if we can't, then at least to send her an email with what AXO is, because I don't think she worked at the high school level. So I don't know what she knows or doesn't know. And who was it? Northwood has a new principal. I was like, what?
Ah, okay.
Yep. Because someone texted me or emailed me about this person in Baltimore County who was from Montgomery County, and I was like, I probably don't know him, and there it was her. So I'm like, well, when did she leave?
Mm-hmm.
So, and did you ever find out about the person that was there that left? What is it? Something Creek, Silver, whatever that
Silver
middle
Creek,
school.
yeah.
Yeah.
She retired. She officially retired, but I don't know.
It just seems suspicious.
Yeah,
That's
it seems
all.
suspicious. And then my husband was connected to her on Twitter, and she now works for Loudoun County Public Schools.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
so I don't know what happened.
she could live closer to there. I mean, I don't know anything about her.
Yeah, she did. She did. She lived in Virginia. She lived in
Okay, so then
Virginia.
that's why she did that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
But
and
it
she had
just
been.
seemed like out of the blue to me. And I
Yeah,
was like, well,
but
what's
that was
going
the weird
on?
thing. It just, I don't know if it was COVID related or what, but it was, very out of the blue and very sudden that although they did say, I guess she must have, when they announced this interim principal, she said that she had worked side by side with the other principal for like a week, and when she announced herself, so I guess she gave enough advance notice for them to throw somebody else in there. But,
Right.
yeah, but
But
but she's kind of weird.
there seem to be a lot of changes.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of changes. Yeah.
Because someone else, I think, was the new principal. Because I was like, well, who was this person?
Right. Yeah. Well, I think
So,
COVID, a lot of people are saying, I'm out of here. I'm taking my early retirement.
or, I'm just kind of wondering with the new administrative changes in MCPS, because I knew Dr. Navarro well enough to say something, to ask a question, or Dr. Statham. The two people now I really don't know as well. I mean, we've been to meetings with Dr. what's her name? Rubin, I think it is, who's the community engagement, whatever they're calling that title this week. I mean, I don't even know.
Okay.
But I have to look to see who's attending that meeting from MCPS. I don't know what associate superintendent or whatever the title happens to be is there. I don't know, because I do remember seeing an email, but I honestly didn't even open it.
Yeah, I kind of gleaned over it too, so I need to look at it.
Yeah, because I was like, no, I got to get this career fair done.
Right.
I see for tomorrow 20 people listed for both, or a little more than 20.
Great.
So I'm thinking, okay, so maybe we might have 10 people, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I would like to do this again next year, but do it really early so we could really publicize and get people here.
Yep.
So I'm thinking that might be something I can get people to work on.
Right.
And
Yeah.
say, we need people to do this. What names do you have? Submit them by December 15th. And then we would like you to work on this for next year, so you have this time.
Right.
To get that done, because then that's something that we don't have to rush to do.
Right.
And can be in a place. I'm gonna talk to Charlene about helping with the poetry reading, since I know her grandson's gonna be there anyway.
Okay.
And we'll start, if I can get to her this weekend, we will start sending out invitations next week. Because it would be nice if we could have that finished before the December exec meeting.
Right.
So that we can present that.
Yep.
So,
that'd be great.
All right.
Okay.
That's enough for today.
All right. Thank you so much for all your hard work.
You did a great job on hosting this. So this was great. And I already got a text from Mr. Mark.
Already. He was
saying,
enthusiastic.
commend you on the session and trying to get me on Zoom. but he got it to work because we couldn't. We were on the phone for we were on for an hour.
Oh,
It was his mic. We couldn't figure out what it was.
Oh, no.
And apparently the mic wasn't set up, and I was like, they gave you a computer and they didn't set up your mic?
Yeah, that's bizarre. Yeah.
Right. So, but he figured it out because when I saw, I was like, oh, wow. So you got it to work. Great.
Right.
So
All right.
he liked it. So,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, that was fast.
He was into it. Yeah.
Okay. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too, Pat. Thanks
All
again.
right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.